Hello, and in today's video we will be going through the currencies of two South American countries, mostly Brazil but also some Argentina, during the 50s to the 90s. We will be starting out with the Brazilian Cruzeiro. This one Cruzeiro from 1956, and as you can see, this one is printed by the American banknote company, so it's a US printed note. The Cruzeiro was introduced in 1942 and replaced the earlier Brazilian currency. And as we shall see, Brazil had a problem with inflation during the 20th century, so they changed currencies quite a lot. We are moving on from the one Cruzeiro to the two Cruzeiro, which is similar in design. This one also produced by the American banknote company. And this one was from 1958. An interesting fact to note that with the two Cruzeiro notes that there were actually two printers of this note. There was the American banknote company and there was De La Rue, or Thomas De La Rue, I believe, which is on a British printer, who also printed the two Cruzeiro banknotes, and for some of these issues at the same time even. So there are different variants with different colors. This one with an orange back, while some had a backside of a different color. Also the color on the front is also different between the different printers though. So this is the American coloring, where there's a different I'll edit that one in, a different coloring of the British printing. Moving on, we have a 5 Cruzeiro banknote. Now this one was printed by Thomas De La Rue in Britain. This one is a newer issue. It's from 1963, and the Cruzeiro would eventually be demonetized in 1967 and replaced by the Cruzeiro Novo, the new Cruzeiro. Mostly due to inflation. Pretty bills is the Republic of the United States of Brazil, which is the official long name of Brazil, obviously in reference to the United States of America. So that's the notes from the Brazilian 50s. We will be moving on to the 70s with this 5 Cruzeiro banknote. Interesting to note is that there has been a change of currency. This is the new Cruzeiro, the Cruzeiro Novo, which was in existence from 1967 to 1986. So these two are not the same currency. But at least there are currencies right next to each other, which some of we'll be making jumps in the notes ahead. And I think this note has a rather modern look, actually. I wouldn't believe it's a 70s note. It actually looks like it could fit right in modern days. Oh, that's the Brazilian emperor of the early 1800s as well. Quite interesting, despite turning into a republic, they still honor their former emperor. So this was the Cruzeiro Novo, but we are right about to hit into the rapid inflation years of Brazil of the 80s and 90s, where basically every other year they changed currencies. So you can, with this note, you can see it straight away in that it has two currencies on it. It was originally, or this type was printed as a Cruzado, 1000 Cruzado note, but it has been stamped with the new currency of 1 Cruzado novo, the new Cruzado. Now you wonder that we had a Cruzeiro earlier, then we got a Cruzado and a new Cruzado. So that's four different currencies for the same country in a period of under 50 years. But it gets worse. It gets worse. So this note, let's see here. The Cruzado Novo was only between 1989 and 1990. So the Cruzado Novo currency only lasted for less than 2 years. As for the Cruzado itself, it was between 1986 and 1990. So it was less than 4 years. But this one lasted even less. We can check the back side of this note. All of these notes are pretty, but unfortunately for the Brazilians, quite worthless at a quite fast pace. Moving on, we got the 5000 Cruzados, or to be the 5 Cruzado Novos. This one of a Brazilian painter. With one of his works on the backside. But as I said, we're moving on. So this is a Cruzado Novo note that will say the currency that was overstamped on these ones, but it has itself been overstamped with the new currency of Cruzeiros. You know, the Cruzeiros we had back in the day. And with back in the day, I mean just like 15 years earlier. So, the Cruzeiro lasted between 1990 and 1993. And this one seemingly honoring a writer. I got the specific dates for this one as well. So this modern one specifically, it's from 1974, I believe, and yes, and this one was from both from 1989, I believe, and this one was probably from 1990 or so. Not that it really is that important, but let's put away these ones for now and check out Argentina, because they also had a problem with inflation. This is 10 pesos, and Argentina had the peso. It was not their original currency, like with Brazil and most South American countries. They had some form of the real to begin with, but they changed their currency sooner or later. The 10 pesos, or this one, the peso lei, was from 1970 to 1983. So the peso lei, if I recall correctly, replaced the original peso. So this 10 peso note was printed from 1970 to 1976, only for a duration of 6 years. And here we got a nice waterfall. These are overall nice notes. Brazil did print notes on their own. These ones was printed abroad, and the other ones unclear, but I will put it in text. But Argentina, though, did print their own bills, so they did not have foreign printers do it for them. But like I said, it was only printed during 6 years, but the currency itself held on to 1983, so the remaining 7 years of it being valid currency, there were no new ones printed. But doesn't necessarily being a bad thing. I mean, you could have plenty of notes already, or it just was that due to inflation, this was so low of a value that there was no point in printing any more of them. Could be either way. But as we shall see, I also have a 500 peso note. And it was introduced very quickly, already in 1972. 2 years into the new currency, we had 10 and 500 banknotes. If I would do a comparison with, as I'm Swedish, with the current Swedish banknotes, we have a 20 banknote and we have 1,000 banknote. So that's a difference between 50 times from the lowest to the highest denomination. But here there were 1 peso banknotes, 5 peso banknotes, and a 10 peso banknote. And then, like I said, a 500 peso banknote. Not from the beginning, but introduced there due to inflation. So if we go from the 1 peso banknote to the 500, we have a difference in denomination of 500, or in this case 50. So when these were both being printed in 1972, we had the same difference between today's maximum difference between denomination in the Swedish krona. And just these two bills. But the gap would even grow larger between the 1 peso, the 500 peso to the 1000 peso, and so on. So you see that due to the inflation, these smaller notes are becoming worthless. And obviously stopped being printed. So, moving on from the 500 banknote. Argentina got a new currency. Well, they got several new currencies. But this one was the Australes. 1000 Australes. Which was the currency of Argentina from 1985 to 1991. You can see here that it's the Banco Central de la República Argentina. Also we can see that I do have to apologize for my screaming baby in the background if you're hearing that noise all throughout the video. He's being taken care of, but he's just in a really bad mood today, unfortunately. That's the price you have to pay. Well, so a small piece of Argentina, a rather large chunk of Brazil, and that will have to do it for today. Thank you for watching.